Good morning, people. So today we are going to be doing this instrument. This is a Leap Phonics bond, and it's made by Leapfrog, obviously. Has their spokesperson right on it. But we are going to be making this, and I'm actually going to be trading this with Igor and Mokian. So it's going to be kind of like a circuit bent trade type deal, where I'm going to be trading this with him. He actually already has his circuit bent. And we are going to be circuit bending this one, and we're going to be trading it with him, and then pretty much make them both collaboration projects. So I think it'd be pretty cool. Luckily enough, he actually posted one on his YouTube channel, and then later on I saw this one inside the store, so I thought that would be absolutely perfect, because we've been talking about doing another collab project, so this works great. So this is a pretty cool little instrument right here. You can tell that they have taken some lessons from some other toy companies, and they do not let you cuss on this one, which is pretty funny. If you saw some of their older Leapfrog stuff, such as a Leapfrog Caterpillar, you could actually make cuss words by making specific sounds, and I always think that's pretty funny to do. But messing around with this for like 10 minutes, I didn't find anything. But if you know something, let me know in the comment section. But from that, we are going to go ahead and open this up. We're going to get started on circuit bending. So now that we have the area kind of isolated and we know where we're getting the bend at, but I don't actually know which resistor is the culprit in giving us that bend. So it's around this area. It's one of these three, but I'm not really sure which one it is. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a resistor. So I'm not bare wiring this. I'm just going to take this resistor so we're running less of a chance to actually fry the instrument, and I'm just going to touch on each side and figure out which one is actually doing this.
Let's play. Press a letter to play music.
So it appears that one did crash it, but more than likely that is the resistor we're going to be dealing with here. So I'm going to go ahead and pop the batteries out here. And then what I would recommend, you never see me do it. I don't know why I don't do it, just I don't do it. But if you ever get into an instrument like this and you start messing around with it, probably the first thing to do once you figure out it is bendable is add a master on and off switch just to make this a bit easier. I just don't do it, but if you were smarter than I, then you could. So that is the resistor right here. It's this one right here, and it looks like this is a bit too low resistant, and that's what's actually making it crash. But we are going to go ahead and solder onto both sides of that, and then we're going to run it out. have this soldered, I'm going to go ahead and test this point right here.
Let's play. Press a letter to play music.
Just by touching the other ends of these wires. And it looks like we have success on that. And then one of these is going to be our median. But before I even go into which one is the median and everything, what I'm going to do is, can you get a close-up of this? So I'm going to use my soldering iron to get a little bit more light. But this is kind of a crazy tight like solder.
Bye for now.
So
Let's play. Press a
since
letter
this is
to play
micro
music.
resistors, what I like to do with all of these is I like to go ahead and add hot glue as soon as I get them on.
Try pressing
So
a
I'm going
letter.
to add this right here. And then we're going to add it right here. So I'm just adding some extra stability around the wires so they don't pop out. Because if these pop out, you are going to have a nightmare on your hands if they actually pull out the resistor as well. And oftentimes they actually do. They'll pull out the resistor with the wire. And we're going to go ahead and scrape this away from all the other components. All right, and there we go. Now we're going to go ahead and figure out which one's our median now that that's hot glued in. So how I'm going to do this is very easy. We're just going to take this down here. We know both of these are spawned. I'm going to take it down here. So it's not that one. Alright, and that one. That one's dropping a tone. A little bit more. It goes all the way to pause. Looks like it's not going to go all the way to pause. It is going to crash it. But at this point, we are going to go ahead and add a master on and off switch. And at the same time, I'm going to go and solder a wire onto this to connect into our median. Now that we have the master on and off switch added, I'm not super worried about it crashing because we have that. So now we're just going to go ahead and relocate the median. I don't really remember which one it was, so we're going to go ahead and figure that out. Okay, it's orange, so that is great because that's an easy color to remember as opposed to our two striped ones. So the orange is going to be getting the switch, and we are just going to go ahead and add that. And I don't need all of this length. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to be mounting this yet, but I'm thinking this is probably going to be like towards my older style of instruments because of how big this board is, and I think I'm going to be mounting down here, actually underneath of the instrument. And we're just going to go ahead and aim for that. And since I have this extra wire length, let's just go ahead and run this across. And then I'll add a little bit more, just in case he needs to cut it or do anything like that. We're just going to go ahead and add there. And I'm going to pull that, and I'm just going to use the same wire right here. Pull a little more length off of that. Just go ahead and throw a switch on each side. Right. So we know it crashes when you bare wire touch these points together, and even the ground point. So this is the point where we're going to go ahead and go through and find the resistance that allows this to stay as stable as possible while also getting a very good range of motion. I went ahead and found that, and I found these three resistors. So one of these puts it up pretty high, which is the blue one. Then the other two kind of just barely tip it up, and I kept doing that until eventually I got a really good range of motion, and this is what ended up of it. So this is right before it crashes. So very good range of motion there. You can definitely tell a difference. Now how would you go ahead and test this, which I'm just going to completely take this wire off of there. Okay. So how you would test this to see if this could be used on the median wire or if you need to just use this on this only wire, is we're going to go ahead and attach it to the ground and then see the type of effect that it has. So obviously it drops the tone, but it doesn't go all the way down to a dead stop, which is really what we're aiming for, because remember we are looking for the best range of motion. I about dropped the instrument there. And I went ahead and found this resistor as well, because I did try it beforehand. I wanted to get all this together before, you know, shooting this part of the video. But we went ahead and found this resistor. And this one is the one we're going to be using for the ground. Now if you watch what happens is this drops it all the way down to a dead stop, but it doesn't crash it. And that's what we're going to be looking for. So this one is going to go on the ground wire, and then the other resistor, the little group of resistors that we have, is actually going to go on this wire. And then the median is going to go directly into the pot without any resistors at all. So now that we have our tempo tone control installed and we also have our master on and off switch installed, the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to add the prosound and a static LED if it actually supports it. So the way we're going to do that is simply by finding the wires that run out, and it is going to be our speaker wires. So for this one, it looks like I am going to have to go ahead and take this board off. And I will also say that ideally, you wouldn't want to use a potentiometer as big as this. I'm pretty big into salvaging like old circuit boards and stuff, and then finding these really retro old type of things. And specific instruments you can use them on, and they look absolutely really cool. This really is not the instrument that you would want to use this on. What happened here is I am running very short on pots, and I really don't have many left. So I'm really trying to save these as of now, because with everything going on, I can't order them, because like I would say a good 97% of all the pots are sourced from China, and I really don't want to take that risk. So right now we're using some very classical potentiometers for, you know, these tiny toys, and they are massive. So it's going to be a job to actually find a place where this will fit, but I think we'll do all right. Last bolt. Okay, and there we go.
Bravo, that would mean I'm terrible with women. And I'm great with women. I mean, look, I just picked up this foxy mama.
That's not a foxy mama, it's a mama fox.
Ow, rabies.
Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at a mall in my area. So this is the Forest Fair Village Mall. It was deemed that in 2010 and originally opened as the Forest Fair Village Mall. In 2002 it was actually renamed the Cincinnati Mills Mall. And that was inevitably changed just due to the company that currently owned it was actually named Mill Corporation. So they renamed it Cincinnati Mills. And once they sold it, it changed back to the Forest Fair Mall. And you can see they now tote the name Cincinnati Mall. Most people in my area actually know this as the Cincinnati Mills Mall. And you can see that this place is pretty vacant. So you can see some windows are boarded up here. One thing I noticed that I found kind of strange is it seems Amazon actually stores their vans and everything outside. And there's some abandoned cars out here that look like they haven't ran in years. So I don't know what the deal is with people being able to park their cars, but you know, there is stuff all around this parking lot. And as you've seen when we were entering, it looks like there's some type of gravel pit on the other side. I don't know, but the overgrowth is insane on this place. Looks like people haven't done gardening or anything in quite some time. So the part of the mall that we're entering right now is actually the first portion of the mall that was actually opened. So what's kind of interesting is this mall opened in two separate phases. So the first one coming in July 11th, 1988. And with this phase, they opened Biggs, which is a very, very large grocery store at the time. It was a very large franchise. And that with it, it brought 20 different stores. The second phase actually wouldn't come until March 1st, 1989. And that would be a majority of the mall that would actually be here in its heyday. But this was before I was even born, so most all this stuff is coming from research. I'm seeing that it actually was sold at a specific point with only 65% of the mall actually occupied. So this mall had a lot of struggles, even with the original owner filing for bankruptcy very shortly after the mall opened, and then trying to sell it off. If you see this guy rolling in here on the Segway, they actually have people who act as security guards who ride on these Segways. I'm thinking their actual main job is to keep people from vandalizing the mall or doing anything to further degrade the mall's image. But I found it really interesting that those people are here when the mall is in the condition that it is. So if you look up here, there's actually some buckets to the left to catch water. Now, nobody had removed those buckets, and I don't think it had rained a week prior to shooting this video. So there's the buckets. And then you have a electrical outlet that's just kind of sticking out of here, and they just decided to put some boards over the hole. So this is a gym. This gym is still in business. It is active. But what they've done is they've actually blocked themselves off from the mall. So you can't walk from the mall into the gym. You actually have to walk out like it's a separate business and then go into the gym. So that's a trend you'll actually see throughout this entire mall. If the business is still running, they have sectioned themselves off so where you can't actually access them through the mall. All aside from one arcade. The arcade that I'm talking about isn't accessible from outside, so they're kind of forced to keep inside of the mall, and then they're right off of the food court. So this actually used to be a guitar center, and the guitar center was a very big deal when it was here. It's a very large space. Now I don't remember what this actually used to be, but judging by the mural on the wall back there, I would say this is more than likely some type of army recruiting place or something of that nature, because they have the American flag up there and they have a soldier on the wall. So I don't know what that used to be, but that would be my guess. One thing I've absolutely always loved about this mall is just the theme of everything. So it has such a different feel when you go inside of this mall. Everything's just so much different. It's almost like a cartoon village type theme. And once you get to the food court, it's almost nautical. So it's a very, very strange themed mall, but I've always really, really enjoyed it. And it's really sad to see the condition that it's in now. So you can see some damaged windows up there, and this is more of the water bucket. So this whole section here to the right, this used to be Biggs. So Biggs was a monster of a store. So it was one of the main anchors in this mall. But all of this mall space, all of the walls that are plastered over and, you know, re-drywalled and all that, that used to be Biggs. So you can actually see right here where the Biggs sign used to be, and that's the Biggs lettering. So this actually closed in June 2008. My earliest memory of the mall was actually during the Biggs closing. I just remember being in there and the store being an absolute mess and clothes being kind of strung everywhere because they were having a massive liquidation clearance sale. And that was my earliest memory. I don't remember how old I was, but if I was in 2008, I had to have been pretty young. But I remember just being in there with my mom and everything just being absolutely frantic. So you'll see they actually have signs up that say Neighborhood A, Neighborhood B, which sort of section off the mall. That's because this mall is very big, and it's an impressive mall to say the least, but the only remaining anchors in this mall is Kohl's, and there's also a Bass Pro Shop. So Bass Pro Shop has completely sectioned them off from the mall, so they're no longer connected to the mall and they have their own entrance and everything. And there's also bad news on that front because Bass Pro Shop is planned to move out of here very soon. So these escalators haven't been running in a very long time either. This used to be a movie theater. And on a side note, I love this theme, this nautical theme that they have in the cafeteria. I think is absolutely gorgeous. So the scenery alone in this mall is just amazing, in my opinion. And it is sad to see the state that it's come to, but at the same time, it is very beautiful that we're in the point of time that we can actually see this and experience this mall the way it is. Because there's something very, very beautiful about almost the abandonment of something that is so large, if that makes any sense. As a person who loves exploring, this mall is a great experience. So this obviously used to be a help desk here. So this is very interesting. In the place of the directory, they actually have an advertisement for Gatlinburg. Now on the other side they do have a directory, but it's quite empty. So what's really cool about this place is it actually has 17 different entrances, which is an insane number for a mall to have 17 different entrances. The downside is, like I said earlier, I only found one entrance to actually get in here. As you see, this used to be a parking garage. Area is now closed. You can even see out here the lettering's missing. And LEDs are out. Overall, it's a really cool scenery, but they do have it blocked off. And even these fake plants, they look dead, which is amazing. You can see the ceiling's falling in as well. So what very often happens with these malls is the ceilings start falling in and everything, and since they don't have the tenants to actually support the mall, they can't repair it. So the mall just kind of goes downhill from there. You can see people graffiti the windows up there. So before making this video, I reached out to my mom and dad to actually see if they remembered anything about this mall and what they could tell me about it. And they both said the same thing, funny enough. And that thing is, if you see this main area right here, they both remember a Ferris wheel and a carousel being in there. And they described it almost as like a mini carnival type deal throughout this entire thing. And this beautiful fountain right there. Now the fountain's no longer running. You can actually see up here on the ceiling that all this stuff is quite natured. But it is really cool to think that they used to have like a mini carnival going on in this main area. So you can see the directory board right here no longer has any names on it. And then we're about to see the other directory. Here's an etchery. So right here you can see Babies R Us. You can see the Burlington Coat Factory. You can see a lot of different stuff that's just no longer here. Foot Locker. All of this stuff is gone. And you can even see when they stopped keeping track, many of the things were gone as well. I absolutely love the ceiling art in this place. I think it's absolutely spectacular. But the color scheme is also very interesting. But you can't help but get the feeling that it's almost like a 1980s sitcom. All the colors are just very washy. They're not brilliant colors anymore, they're just very washed out colors. So you get a very, very old classic 1980s feel. So here's another parking garage that they had linked into the mall. You can see this one's really no different. Even the fake plants are looking dead. It's a very dark place in the mall. This used to be a Saks Avenue. This was the second movie theater. This one was a bit smaller and it actually functioned longer, so you can actually get a time frame right here. So there's the movie Get Hard. So we know this was around about 2015, and there's Paddington Bear as well. So both of those are really good movies to kind of get a idea of when this movie theater stopped functioning. And I would say it's more around like 2015. You have the same list on this side. There's something so strange about a movie theater having a show list sitting out that's no longer being updated. This is the main place where they had the carousel and the Ferris wheel and everything. As of 2017, this place actually only had 5 tenants, but the mall still stands. You can still go there today, unless you're watching this in the very far future, but the mall is still open. And I really hope you enjoyed this walkthrough. Thank you guys for watching and have an awesome day.